Alright, so I made a new file, and here I am after completing the prologue at Widow's Overlook. Now, I'm going to walk you through some of the early game while giving you things I've learned along the way in the form of tips and tricks. Before I set out, I did do a couple of important things in the Marrow Keep. First of all, I upgraded the Iconoclast, your starting weapon, to +3. That way, it's going to be a bit easier to deal with enemies early on. I also grabbed the Slayer Seal and the Infinite Seal. This is the Parry Seal, and this is the Game Easy Mode Seal, which does disable achievements. I just wanted to have them. Probably not going to use either of them. And so, my first task here, get a shell. There's two options, Proxima and Teal. And I'm going to run over and grab Teal because he's a little bit easier. And over here, there are some enemies to fight. Groups of enemies can be annoying, so I recommend just going ahead, blasting them a bit, and ideally not doing what I just did there where you end up getting hit a bunch. Usually if you can split the group a little bit, there's plenty of time to just beat an enemy down. Especially for little guys who are pretty easy to stagger. These bats, you can find them in trees, they hit really hard, they're super annoying. So what I like to do is open with a shot, then try to take them out before they hit me. And now look, Teal is right here, so first shell obtained.
I did not wish.
There we go. Since Teal is a stealthy rogue, he has an enhanced dodge. Now look, a permanent pickup. Just gonna grab these whenever I see them. Something else that I'm gonna go out of my way for, at least early on, is a bit of extra glue, because it's much easier hitting these spikes than fighting enemies. And over here, there's a treasure chest, which has the Wounding Stone. Every time I get a Tarstone, what I like to do is go ahead, hit the menu, take a look at what it does. And because perforation's a keyword that I didn't recognize, I just go ahead and hit X. The target takes bonus damage from sidearms. Not a great option, but hey, better than nothing. Now, the other thing I want to show off here, just going to jump up. Anytime you see Rook on the map, so like right here, or zooming out, here, 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 all of these locations, these are map fragments. Whenever you get a map fragment, you'll learn about the nearby area. And if you find a corrupted gate, that means there's a boss battle. Now, these areas out in the open world, these are dungeon entrances. You don't see them on the world map by default. Once you enter, then it shows up. So this is the Martyr's Tomb. Each one of these is just a little bit different. Usually there are some enemies to fight, and there's also some sort of puzzle-solving aspect. So here, this guy is the enemy. Like that. And in terms of a puzzle, whoops, almost getting myself killed there. There's a locked gate. So whenever I'm looking for clues on how to do something like open the gate, I just look around. Anything that's glowy, I'll interact with. For this, I can attack, get some upgrade materials. That's a laterite. Over here, there's a thing to hit. And oh look, coming over here to hit the thing, gets me some gloom, and gets me a switch. Gate is lifted. And oh look, it's a trap. Deal with that in a second. There we go. Did enough damage to get my shell back. He's dead. And I got the dungeon reward. Specifically, the obsidian lathe, which is one of the items needed to fix the tar forge. And so when I bring this back to the Marrow Keep, I will be able to enhance my sidearm. As for how to get out, there's a little plate up here, and I shoot it. And if it didn't have enough resolve, I could just attack this spike here. So I've there. Then, after completing a dungeon, first thing I do, I mark it off on the map. Otherwise, I might end up re-entering it by accident, thinking I needed to clear it. For some dungeons, the rewards are fairly small, but most of them, there's either a Tarstone, a weapon, or a sidearm. In other words, dungeons are well worth your time. So now, let's head back to the beacon. Widow's Overlook is a really good intro area, because there's so many other interesting things to interact with nearby. Like this guy, who's a little mini-boss. Now that I have a shell, I can do stuff like this. That is Teal's Shadow Strike. Sort of acts like a riposte in that it staggers enemies temporarily. Oof, this guy's false strike is super annoying. There we go, got him staggered. Oh, I hardened for the grab, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, don't harden for grabs. You can't do it. Alright, time to get serious. As if I wasn't already playing seriously. There we go. Managed to stagger him on the heavy. Ooh, that stagger was actually bad because it means I can't harden that. Shell's back. Another Shadow Strike. Oh, he's gonna false strike me. And I killed him. And I got the Arbiter's Prize. This is a slightly different type of Tarstone from what I got before. It's called an Infusion. Basically, an active for a weapon. Costs a little bit of resolve, but it's totally worth it. I'm just going to loot out the area because there's things like the Gloombound Flame. If the Slayer Seal is the game's easy mode, Gloombound Flame is the game's hard mode. So, since I beat the mini-boss, I can level up. This isn't like a lot of other ARPGs where you have to pick stats and stuff. You level up, you get what you get. And as you level, you get shell points. You can use those on your shell if you have properly bonded with it. I haven't done that yet, so I need to go back and speak to Jirel. That's what the Return to Marrow Keep is for. So the Shell Keeper, Shell Bonding. This costs glimpses, and it takes 5 total glimpses to go from Bond Level 1 to Bond Level 2. Reaching Bond Level 2 unlocks a new tier of abilities. Also, if you want, you can go ahead and follow the Shell's story. That isn't strictly required. So here we go, Bond Level 1 and Bond Level 2 unlocked. So now I can do things like put points in here to improve my Shadow Strike. Let's say I decide, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, I can refund it. This can be done at any time, and if I swap shells, I can also grab the points, put them into the new shell. For now, I'm going to go with Night Stride 1 point, Death Mark, and Escalation. So I'm enhancing the Shadow Strike and giving myself a higher chance to do that perfect dodge thing. I'm also going to go ahead and improve my Nether Pulse, basically Estus capacity, because I got the Revered Gland from killing the mini-boss. Alright, after a short detour, back to Widow's Overlook, where I want to show you a trial. These are found throughout the world. When you activate them, it's going to go gray, and enemies are going to attack you. So, there we go, a couple of shades, and this is a perfect time. Go ahead and use the buff. Ooh, another downside of hardening. Can't harden against multiple enemies at once. Oop. Luckily, if it's just one, they are very easy to interrupt and block. Like so. Then after killing these, Extra statues are going to come alive. Oh. I'm going to go ahead and do a little stealthing. Stabby, stabby. Oh, almost got hit there. There we go. Nice little block. Oh. Getting overwhelmed. Gonna get some distance. And then just hit all these enemies to interrupt them. Because they are only dangerous when I am not actively hitting them, like so. And there you go. Retribution Stone. This increases riposte damage. Riposte is when the enemy staggers down. Also, this is a support Tarstone, so it's not equipped to a weapon, it's equipped to the Harbinger themselves. Much like with Cleansing Shrines, whenever I come across a challenge, I try to do it, and there's a good chance I will die at least once before I complete it. So now, on to the next area, specifically the village that was over to the left. And now look, everyone's having a party. Time to be a party crasher. Party crash you. Oh, another one's coming in. Party crash both of these. A lot of these enemies are on the squishy side, so just attacking them does work. It will interrupt their attacks. And this village has an offering chest. There are several of these scattered around the world, and very many puzzle. So, first thing, gotta light this candle. That's my first offering. If you're wondering how I'm picking up the gold just by running by, it's a menu setting. Burnt effigy. And then over here, another little party. Gonna go ahead and party crash that. Like so. Second offering. And then the third offering is over here. Right up on this little pedestal. Like that. Now it's back down here to open the offering chest. Now look, a welt cap. Even though I already have one, and they are not consumed on use, like I can go ahead, use the welt cap here. I eat it, it goes to 0. When I rest at a beacon, that'll be back. I still want to pick up extras because of the familiarity system. If I get 5 more welt caps, I increase my familiarity, thus revealing level 2, which basically means it's going to heal more health. Or at least the passive will, the active, more uses. And there we go, new Tarstone, the Auspicious Stone. Melee crit strike chains. Again, another beacon. I'm going to go ahead and revitalize it. And then immediately cleanse the beacon. Alright, and at the end of this one, there's a treasure chest, so I'm going to go ahead and open that. Ooh, Ember Seed Stone. I remember this. This is awesome. So, this is an infusion for the gun. Like that. Now I can do burning on crit. And is this the one? Oh, yes, this is the one. So, 2 enemies, they heal, they use ranged attacks. The big guy is super slow, but he hits very hard. Like, incredibly hard. So I'm just going to bait him out into the hallway, like so. Dodge past. Whoop. Kill one of the healers. Shoot the other healer. Now I'm going to do some blocking on this guy, because if I don't, he is going to kill me, and the Tarstone being in the way. Oh, very spooky. Ooh. I mistimed that and took a ton of damage. There we go. Shoot him a couple times. He's burning. Interrupt him. And he's dead. Perfect. So, at the end of the beacon, there is an Ova. You bring this back to the Mirror Citadel, and you end up getting some rewards, usually in the form of glue. Also, this is how you unlock fast travel, so clear every beacon that you find, at least until you get fast travel. The other nice thing about this, I should be able to level up. Yes, I can. So, there we go. And +1 shell point, so I'm going to put it into poison resistance. Now, over here at this party scene, there's something else neat. A little bit of a world puzzle. Ooh, that missed. Oh, unfortunate. There we go. Take out all the enemies. So, nothing here. Just a party. Unless you do this. And then you get the chapel key. The chapel key is used in the opposite direction that I just went. So I went to the right of a beacon. Now time to go left. So over here we've got some Grisha hunters. And trade with them, do a couple of quests. And the chapel. Which is, of course, another dungeon. Specifically, the Shrine of Trials. This is a cool puzzle dungeon, but it also takes a bit to complete. So, I'm going to skip through things while giving you the TLDR. First of which is, killing some basic enemies. Then you'll be confronted with a dead end and a statue, and a clue to observe the king. So, naturally, you back through the wall, and it's an invisible wall which allows you to get to the next area. In the following room, and also the room beyond that, there's some simple block puzzles. Smack the block with a heavy attack, it slides across the floor. You open up the next area, do that twice, and you get to the final room. So, in the final room is a knight. Now, if you played through the prologue, you will probably remember this as the guy that absolutely wrecked you. Luckily, with a shell, and with Harden, he's not that bad, though he can still wreck you if you mess up. But the main reason that I wanted to talk about this dungeon in particular is because the Shrine of Trials is where you're likely to find your first weapon, the Axe and Dagger. My recommendation, every time you find a new weapon, go ahead, equip it, try it out a bit. After you've tried it out a bit, then go back to a Citadel and decide, am I going to keep this weapon, or am I going to swap back to my last weapon? That way you're not wasting a whole bunch of resources on a weapon you don't end up using. So here's the perfect enemy to go ahead and test the axe out on. Whoop. Just dodge that. As you can see, I'm attacking much faster, so I'm able to interrupt her more and more or less keep her stun locked. I wouldn't be able to do that with the Iconoclast. Won't happen with every enemy, though. Like this thing. This thing's a big scary bud. Ooh, I totally mistimed that. Ooh. There we go. Personally, I do really like the fast weapon, so before doing anything important, I'm definitely going to head back and upgrade it real quick. That said, if you prefer the feel of the Iconoclast, stick to the Iconoclast. It's a really solid weapon. Because I collected 4 of them, I got the Mether's Breath. This is the game's version of fast travel. So now, no more having to go up to the roof to go back to where you last left off. Now, just go here. Mether's Breath appears. Teleport wherever you want, including going back to the area from the prologue. It's pretty neat, and that's why you always want to cleanse beacons. But unfortunately, it turns out I didn't quite explore enough, so no upgrading that weapon after all. And so, after heading back from the Citadel, I entered the Corrupted Gate. This works just like a regular area, but a lot smaller. Think of it like a legacy dungeon in Elden Ring. But since a good chunk of this is just going to be me fighting more regular enemies and stuff you've probably already seen a good bit of now, I'm going to jump ahead to the interesting bit, the boss at the end. Along the way, there's another offering chest, a bunch of enemies to fight, a mini-boss. Basically, you hit the glowing red sheep, staggers the boss, you kill the boss. Oh, and by the way, if you're struggling to access the offering chest because you're missing a key, just attack the lock, it'll break. Alright, and just through the creepy cave. If you want, you can summon. Specifically, the summon here would be Smirt. Each boss has a different summon, and if not, it's boss time. Since I have a +4 weapon, I don't think this is going to be too bad, but I'm not sure if I'll get it in one try. So in comparison to other enemies, bosses do a lot of red attacks. Like red attacks to go for red attacks. Ooh, I shouldn't stand in the fire. That also means there are relatively few opportunities to get boss damage, at least at first. Ooh, I got hit by that. I'm going to go ahead and chip away at her a little bit. I do like getting in some heavies on her. They do decent. Whoop. Whoop, that's going to be a shot. I'm going to go ahead and heal my shell. I've also noticed being slightly behind her means it's a little bit harder for her to hit me with a charge attack. But not the cannon attack when I can't see it in the tree. There we go. Spin attack, I'm just going to sit back. Going to heal up here. Charge attack. Cannon attack. Oh. I wasn't expecting that. Ooh. Let's see if I can get my shell back. Oh. Yeah, Harden is basically useless here. Defenses in general are basically useless in Phase 1 now. And that's Phase 1 down. So, I get my shell back. Now, she's going to summon a bunch of adds. Individually, they are not that dangerous. Unfortunately, because of that, they can be a problem. It's very easy to get distracted by an ad and then just bonked by the boss. Ooh. Dodge a cannon shot. There we go. Oh, that was actually one of the blockable ones. That's not blockable. And there we go. Entering the next phase. Gonna restore my shell. Mostly just for defensive benefits. It doesn't have very much health at all. She's gonna roar. I'm gonna get in as much damage as I can. Oop. Like so. Dodging. And I think I can kill her. Yep. So, I did do it in one try. My commentary was probably not that riveting because I was trying to not die, and this is a pretty tricky fight. After the boss, there's going to be a beacon. Always cleanse it. If you cleanse the boss beacon, you get really cool stuff, like all of these Ova, ton of glue. And so yeah, that seems like a good place to wrap things up. Alright, so that's my beginner's guide for Mortal Shell 2. I wanted to do something different here because I felt like my normal style of beginner's guide where I go through game systems doesn't really apply as much. Sure, game systems, things like upgrading your weapon, it matters to an extent. Having Tarstones matters quite a bit. But here's the thing. That's not going to help you if you can't dodge the enemies. And also, if you don't know how the world works. So hopefully this video was able to give you a pretty good feel for both how the enemies work and how the world works. As a note, while the Mushroom Village is one of the early areas, it's not the only place you can go right off of the bat. In fact, you can even go to the Ruins of Mammon, the other big area, opposite side of the map. I don't recommend going to the Ruins of Mammon early, that area is significantly more difficult. But technically, the game doesn't stop you. Just like how you can do Caelid before you do Liurnia, but unless you know what you're doing, it's a really bad idea. I also tried a little bit of a different presentation and editing style. Basically, I recorded that whole thing all in one go and edited it from the roughly 1 hour and 30 minutes down to the hopefully 30-ish or a little bit under it this video is going to be at the end. It's a little bit of a different style, mostly because I like the scripting, I like the recording, I like the game playing part. I don't as much like the sitting in DaVinci Resolve part, so I'm trying to minimize that by going for simpler edits where I'm just cutting out big chunks of stuff as opposed to the fancier things. If it works, I'll do it more. If it didn't work, you probably won't see another video like this for a while. That said, if you want to see more of what I make, do be sure to get subscribed. Also, if you want to see my thoughts on Mortal Shell 2 or any other game, head over to my Steam Curator page. It'll be linked down below. It has all the reviews that I do. But for now, I'm going to get going. If you want to see something else on Mortal Shell 2, I do have a review. I'll link that up in the card and down below. I also have how to beat the Tar Golem from the prologue and get the achievement. And in the near future, I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks video. I was kind of working on that in parallel with this. I was thinking, do I release one? Do I release the other? Do I release both? Ended up going with both. That should be out in the next day or so. Get subscribed, ring the notification bell, join my Discord, all that stuff. Keep an eye out for it. For now, thank you very much for watching to the end. I'm glad you've enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.